The difference between those two states of consciousness is very dramatic. And so paying some extra attention to that transition can really help. This is also a great time to create that ritual of time together each week. Again, helping her knowing what to expect, to see you and have time with you. The ritual gently tells the body that sleep is coming. And research supports that backlit screens between 1 and 2 hours within bedtime, backlit screens being computers, cell phones, iPads, can really stimulate the brain and therefore interfere with sleep. Even if your daughter isn't fully waking up at night, her quality of sleep is significantly diminished because of the impact the light has on her brain. Light tells the brain to wake up when we really want it to be sleeping. Again, the research supports 2 hours of no screens before bed, but I can tell you that in my practice, I see significant results even by starting with a half an hour to an hour. Fluctuating blood sugar is a fast track to mood swings as well. You can keep your daughter's blood sugar stable by making sure that she doesn't skip meals, especially breakfast. Make sure she eats balanced meals with high quality protein, and watch that sugar and caffeine, because that can really mess with the blood sugar. And encourage gentle exercise every day, because exercise helps stabilize blood sugar and it can really help even out her moods. Another skill to promote stability is to encourage your daughter to do one thing at a time instead of multitasking and splitting her attention. This trains the brain to focus, and it helps your daughter learn to manage control over the direction of her attention. And this makes her less vulnerable to emotional responses to passing thoughts. Developing this ability to focus reduces mood-dependent behavior. Now, parents often tell me their daughters listen to music, do homework on their computer while checking Facebook and texting on their iPhone and IMing. You thought that that wasn't effective, right? You're right. It's not effective. And it can become a very entrenched habit that creates scattered thinking, which I think is the more significant impact, and it also creates homework that's loaded with mistakes. Docking phones can help. Setting limits on social networking time, not eliminating the social networking time, but separating that from the time to do homework can really help. Also, moving the computer into a public space where the activity can be monitored, and so can a direct conversation with your daughter about your legitimate concerns about this and making your expectations very clear. Also, help your daughter understand her own limits. You know, we live in a culture that just encourages us to go, 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 and do more, study more, and play harder, and get into the best college and get the highest ACT scores. You need to help her find her balance and manage her stress on a daily basis. Connecting with friends and doing enjoyable hobbies, not doing just what she must do, but actually encouraging her to find things that she wants to do. Set time for work and time for play. Also, especially moms, can help their daughters model how they manage their own stress. In addition, girls can get a lot of stress during this time in their life, obviously, and you sharing your stories about how you manage stressful times can really help tell her that they'll get through these confusing and difficult times. And they know they're not the first ones to get through this, and so they know things will get better and they can see a little light at the end of the tunnel. Another way to manage stress and support emotional stability is by meditating. Now, there are all kinds of meditation, and maybe you've heard recently Dr. Oz talking about that and Oprah. And if you're up to learning formally, I definitely think it's a great investment. Go for it. But really, meditation can be as simple as just having some quiet time to do nothing and think about nothing. Encourage a time each day to reset. Enjoy some silence without music or phones or TV. This is also another example of something you can do with your daughter, both to manage her stress and for you to model effective stress management. Of course, dealing with girls, another topic that comes up a lot is self-image and body image. Well-intentioned efforts to boost your daughter's self-esteem can really backfire depending on what you say. Focusing the majority of your praise on your daughter's looks rather than on her activities and who she is as a person can really reinforce the message that her appearance matters more than the things that she does. Pay attention to your daughter's interests. Show interest in your daughter's passions, and that sends a message that what she likes matters. And it helps cultivate a strong sense of self. Listen for things that excite your daughter, and let her be the expert in these areas. When she talks to you about things that matter to her, ask her to tell you more. You might learn something. And this encourages your daughter to find her own voice, not just follow the crowd, and develop respect for herself. And you help your daughter create a sense of self-understanding that reaches far beyond physical appearance or even a grade on a test. Now, speaking of grades on the test, I hate to tell you this, but research shows that we also have to be careful how we talk about our child's intelligence too. In one recent study, 2 groups of 5th graders received 2 different kinds of praise after taking an IQ test. Kids in one group were told, "Wow, that's a good score. You must really be smart at this." Kids in the other group were told, "Wow, that's a good score. You must have really worked hard." Kids in both groups had the opportunity to try a challenging task with the promise that they could learn from it. The kids in the smart group weren't interested. The kids praised for their effort, they took it on. Not only that, the kids in the second group performed better over time, outpacing their smart peers in follow-up IQ tests. So it appears that communicating that intelligence is a fixed trait can really undermine your child's sense of confidence and instills a fear of failure that can really reap tangible setbacks. Another topic that comes up with my work with girls is anger. All that anger you're seeing and feeling, it makes sense. Teenage girls have a very difficult time acknowledging, much less dealing with their anger and other strong emotions with friends and at school. Girls show anger to their moms because a strong connection with mom makes her the safest recipient. Girls showing anger to their moms is actually a sign of attachment. Anger is a normal human emotion for both of you. And you are not a bad mom if you're angry at your infuriating teenager. You need to know how to handle your anger, though, so you can stay connected in the relationship. Of course, this applies to dads, too. Seeking compromise, being collaborative, getting her input, listening very closely to what she has to say, and modeling that when there are disagreements, you can stay engaged. You can discuss the issues, you can negotiate, and sometimes you can even compromise. Be an example of the kind of person you want your daughter to be when she grows older. If you want your daughter to be assertive, confident, but considerate and kind, model these behaviors for her. Think about what communication style you're modeling. How do you talk about your body? Are you openly self-critical about your weight and your appearance? How about stress? Are you leading a balanced life, or are you frequently stressed out? How do your friends treat you, and vice versa? And are you embracing any of your passions? You are your daughter's very best guide, and you have the power to model the effective behavior you want to see in your daughter. It isn't easy, but it is very worth your effort. Thank you. Now, so I am very excited to open up the floor to questions. Don't be shy. Yes. Yes. The research, could you hear that question? Okay. What she said was, does the research speak to doing, using your computer or talking on your phone and that kind of thing in the bed, right? The research that I've read does not mention that specifically. However, if you are trying to separate the use of those backlit screens from when you're actually going to bed, you might have to be pretty diligent about that if you're doing all your work in the bed. I tend to recommend that there being a dedicated workspace and a dedicated sleep space, particularly if your child is having difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, which sleep challenges for teens is definitely on the rise. So thankfully there's more and more research to support the development of, they actually call it sleep hygiene, good sleep hygiene. That is, again, not eating a heavy meal too close to the time you go to bed, watching those backlit screens, keeping the lights down low, keeping the energy low and even, to sort of, again, give that signal to the body that sleep is coming. Yes?
About anger.
Yes. Anger. She said anger. Mm-hmm.
You can't ever say, well, okay, let's talk about this. She just gets more angry, and then when she calms down, you try to talk about it later. I don't want to discuss it anymore. And so you never seem to ever be able to have a conversation with her about why were you angry and how do you do it. She just wants to do it.
Right. Did everyone hear that? I see some yes and no. So she was asking about anger, and she was saying her daughter gets very angry, and when mom pursues to say, hey, what's going on, she really kind of gets stiff-armed. Yeah? And then even after, when things calm down, mom comes back to say, hey, what was going on there? Now, of course, obviously it's a very challenging thing because you want to be present, but really it's about being there and available for when she comes to pursue you. Because the more you pursue her, the more she's going to be standoffish. And really in those kinds of situations, it's use the words, I understand, with like caution, like don't say that. Don't say I understand. Because she's going to tell you, no, that's just an invitation for her to say, you don't understand, how can you understand? Instead, honey, I want to understand. Help me understand. I don't understand what's going on, and I really would like to, because I really would like to help you through this. And even if it's just, okay, if what you need is us to just sort of, snuggle up on the couch and, episode binge on your favorite show, then that's what you need to do. Meet her on her terms. The more often that you do that, the more likely it is that she will then come to pursue you. And this is a very difficult thing to just sit, for moms to just sit. We're problem solvers, right? We like to fix things. And so to really be able to tolerate that discomfort is really incredible. It really takes a lot out of a mom because you think, oh gosh, I'm not doing anything. What I'm not doing? How is this helping? And really it is helping because it's about your energy and about your presence and the support of knowing that you're always there. And again, not trying to be in her world, not to be more than what you are, meaning that you understand, that you get everything. Admitting that you don't get it, even if you do get it, but saying that you don't, can really open the door of letting her tell you what's going on. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes?
I have a question. It's something common. I think it is. That my daughter entered high school, and now we no longer see her. She's like up in her room.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes.
Even today I was downstairs and she was expecting me to go get my son in grade school. And she was on Skype or something. She's walking downstairs to the computer. Mom, Mom. And I said, yeah. She said, oh, you're still here? And she went back upstairs.
Yeah. Into the cave. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I'm just curious, I'm guessing that's a common
Yes.
better just to let her have her space.
Yes.
And, I mean, she has activities, she has friends, she's very busy, but it seems like when she comes home,
Yes.
she's gone.
Yes. Did everyone hear that? Okay. Well, the answer is both. That yes, you do need to let her have her space. Is she a freshman now?
She is.
Okay. You absolutely need to have her space. Let her have her space, and let her, have respect for her friendships and her time to do work. Because we all know, no matter what high school you're in within a 20-mile radius of this podium, it's hard.